This is the story of Ruth, one of the most loyal and faithful women in the Bible. Her tale takes us to the ancient land of Moab and eventually to Bethlehem in Israel, unfolding an extraordinary journey of love, loyalty, and divine destiny. So sit back as we dive into one of the Bible's most timeless stories. You don't want to miss this. Our story begins in the time of the Judges, a period marked by turmoil and instability in Israel's history. A man named Elimelech and his wife Naomi lived in Bethlehem. Due to a severe famine in the land, they decided to move to Moab with their two sons, Mahlon and Chilion, in search of a better life. The journey to Moab wasn't an easy one, but the family hoped for a chance to survive and thrive. In Moab, Elimelech tragically passed away, leaving Naomi to raise her two sons alone. Over time, both Mahlon and Chilion married Moabite women. One of these women was Ruth, the person around whom this amazing story revolves. Ruth was loving, caring, and loyal beyond words. Her gentle spirit and quick assimilation into the family brought everyone comfort. But tragedy struck once again. Mahlon and Chilion also passed away, leaving Naomi and her daughters-in-law, Ruth and Orpah, widowed and without support. In that time and culture, being a widow was challenging. It was a position of poverty and vulnerability. Naomi, devastated and heartbroken, decided there was nothing left for her in Moab. She resolved to return to her homeland Israel, where she hoped to find solace and assistance from her kinsfolk. Naomi urged Ruth and Orpah to stay in Moab, their homeland, and return to their families to start new lives. She felt it was only fair for them to pursue happiness and security, free of the burdens that came with following her. Though Naomi had lost hope for her own future, she deeply cared for the well-being of her daughters-in-law. Orpah, tearfully, kissed Naomi goodbye and returned home. But Ruth? Ruth did something extraordinary. She clung to Naomi and said one of the most touching declarations of loyalty ever recorded. "Do not urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried." With these heartfelt words, Ruth pledged her unwavering devotion to Naomi. And so, Ruth and Naomi embarked on the journey back to Bethlehem together. It was a challenging road, marked by uncertainty and hardship. When they arrived, the entire town was stirred, seeing Naomi back after so many years. Naomi was so overwhelmed by her loss and bitterness that she told people to call her Mara, meaning bitter, instead of Naomi, which means pleasant. The two women had no source of income and relied on gathering leftover grain in the fields, a provision allowed for the poor in the law of Moses. Ruth took it upon herself to glean in the fields, showing remarkable courage and dedication. Little did she know that her simple act of gathering grain would change her life forever. Ruth happened to glean in the fields of Boaz, a wealthy and kind-hearted landowner who was also a relative of Naomi's deceased husband. Boaz noticed Ruth's hard work and gentle character. He learned of her loyalty to Naomi and was deeply moved. He made sure she was protected and provided for while working in his fields, instructing his workers to treat her well and even leaving extra grain for her to gather. When Naomi heard about Boaz's kindness, hope began to flicker in her heart. She realized that Boaz was a kinsman redeemer, a person who, according to Jewish law, had the responsibility to help a family member in trouble, danger, or need. Naomi devised a plan to secure Ruth's future, instructing her to approach Boaz during the harvest celebration and request his protection as a redeemer. Ruth, always obedient and thoughtful, followed Naomi's advice. That night, she went to the threshing floor where Boaz was sleeping, uncovered his feet, and lay down. This was a cultural way of asking for protection and marriage. When Boaz woke up and saw Ruth, he was both surprised and honored. Ruth's bold but respectful gesture confirmed her devotion not only to Naomi, but also to the traditions and faith she had embraced. Boaz assured Ruth that he would take steps to redeem her and her family's inheritance, according to the law. However, there was a complication. A closer relative had the first right to act as the redeemer. Boaz, being a man of integrity, addressed the matter immediately. He gathered the town elders and the other relative to discuss the situation. When the man chose not to fulfill the role, Boaz stepped in willingly. Boaz married Ruth, and their union was a blessed one. They had a son named Obed, who later became the grandfather of King David, from whose lineage Jesus Christ would eventually be born. What an incredible legacy for a woman who was once a widowed foreigner gleaning in the fields. Ruth's story is one of unwavering loyalty, faith, and the power of God's providence. It reminds us that God can use anyone, regardless of their past or circumstances, to fulfill His divine purposes. Ruth's journey from Moab to Bethlehem wasn't just a physical journey, it was a spiritual one as well. She put her trust in the God of Israel and became a part of His grand plan for humanity. So, what can we learn from the story of Ruth? First, loyalty matters. Ruth's unwavering commitment to Naomi is a model for enduring love and faithfulness. Second, faith opens doors. Ruth left her homeland and her gods to follow Naomi and embrace the God of Israel, and she was blessed abundantly for it. Lastly, no matter how tough our circumstances might be, God's providence can turn ashes into beauty and mourning into joy. Take a moment to reflect on Ruth's story. How can we show kindness and loyalty in our own lives? How can we trust God even when the road ahead seems uncertain? This has been the story of Ruth, a journey of loyalty, faith, and divine blessing. Share this story with someone who needs a little hope and remind them that even in their trials, God's plans are greater than we can imagine. Until next time, keep believing, keep loving, and keep trusting. Bible, Jesus, God, Jews, Christian, Christianity, faith. Ensure the expanded voiceover is even more entertaining, but that it maintains the same style, tone, and key points as the original.